I wanted to become part of BCMANR because it's so incredibly important that we maintain our traditions and our history and that we pass those on.
Yes, we are there to fight for our rights and everything, but our first priority is our natural resources, which is, if we don't have them, there's not much left.
BCMANR is quite an old organization. It's been around for decades. It was basically to accumulate the knowledge and the knowledge keepers of our land-based traditions and history and fight for our harvesting rights in particular.
Well, BC Manors, to me, we started it as a way of always keeping our fight for our inherent rights to harvest and everything to live off the land. BC Manor, I guess we started it to keep our politicians pushing in the right direction.
Well, BCMANR is important because we all work together as a family, and we're all very well connected and hug each other when we see the captains and that. And BCMANR is just people that were very, very particular about looking after the land.
And I think it's really all about protecting our natural resources for the generations in the future. And that's so important that we need to have a direct association and assembly for those interests.
Harvesting, like for us, we are a product of the fur trade, but we lived off the land. We hunted for our food, we did all that, and we just wanted to be able to keep doing that.
In the summertime, I went to the river and I fished for my family, and it started young.
I mean, we lived off the land, and moose and deer and whatever else we could get. You know, that's all it was.
I enjoy the outdoors, the fishing, the hunting. I like just to get out into the wildlife country and get away from everyone. It's just nice to enjoy the outdoors, really.
The big thing is don't abuse our natural resources and work as hard as you can to move us forward to make government understand that we need access to those for our cultural well-being.
If we don't take care of the land and the natural resources, there isn't going to be anything left for any of our children, or never mind our grandchildren.
I have 4 daughters and 11 grandkids, and I also want that to be there for them when they grow up, and their kids beyond that.
The Captains of the Hunt are a tradition and structure with the Métis Nation that goes back to the 1700s.
And the captain of the hunt was the person that organized and ran the hunt and kept it on track and everyone in line.
You know, Métis actually had hunting regulations back in the 1700s, and we followed it. The captains were in charge of each group. You know, there was different captains.
We try to get information out there about what the issues are around harvesting, and we do that. And part of what that leads to is for us to start putting the pressure on governments to say, listen, we've spoken to our people, we've spoken to our youth, and we have a pretty good idea where we want to go.
BCMANR, our main focus is our environment, our traditions in that environment, and making sure that we continue to have access. Continuing to have access means our rights to harvest, our rights to be in the bush, but also continuing to have access means that we know how to conduct ourselves in the bush.
The biggest priority when it comes to conservation, to me, is the water. The health of the water, the levels of the water, where the people are gathering, what they're taking from the water. This is stuff I see in front of me all the time, and I think about my kids and the future generations, and you know, if it's going to be able to be clean and clear enough, not just for the humans, but also for, you know, the plants and the animal relations there.
Well, to me, conservation is about protecting our resources, you know, to be able to make sure it's there for tomorrow.
So with access, with the ability to harvest, comes the responsibility of stewardship. And so teaching those attitudes, teaching the awareness is extremely important, so that we as a community and as a people address conservation, address natural stewardship as something that's ingrained in us and important in everything that we do outdoors.
The MNBC harvester cards and online surveys are important for us to show the government that the Métis exist in BC.
So it's extremely important that we be recognized as being here, as taking part in our environment. And in order to do that, we need to know what's going on. We need to know who our harvesters are, and we need to know what they're doing.
Well, the harvesting data is pretty important, like for the government, because of the Métis. You know, the more harvesting we do on the land, the better it is for us because, you know, and we have to report everything, of course, but it's important because the more Métis, the better. And there is Métis that we don't know about.
The world we live in is information driven. And it's not as simple as just to say, you know, take for your elders to take the youngsters out. That's important, but they have to have a basis of information first, I believe, nowadays.
Well, they're very important because if we go to the government, we've got more clout, and that because we've got how many harvesters are actually not just valid, but they have to do their surveys each year in order to keep their harvesting cards current, up to date, and valid.
It still shows that Métis still use the land. We are out there, we have a footprint. That's the biggest thing, is that yes, we are still using the land, and we will continue to do so.
So BCMANR and MNBC have a close relationship, but we are separate organizations.
But we get to fight for harvesting rights directly and specifically. We get to focus on that, and that makes us unique in this partnership.
BCMANR tries not to be political. That's why we need MNBC, and for our politicians to push forward for our inherent rights and everything. That's their job. Our job is to keep steering them in the right direction.
But having said that, we are there to support Métis Nation BC and their natural resource issues.
Well, I'm proud of BCMANR. We have a very good group of captains, and that we all believe in conservation, in hunting. Like, I'm proud that we put ourselves out to push for what we need.
If there's one thing that I'd like people to know about BCMANR is that we're here for you. We are, I think, a wealth of knowledge, a resource for you, and we would love to engage with you.
We just want them to know that if they need any help or resources or any questions and that we're there to help them, and we're ready and able to help them if possible. And if not, we've got other people that can do it for them.
I think the connection to the land can be strengthened through the types of programs that BCMANR is partnering with MNBC on.
Being connected to the land is what it's all about. We've done quite a few studies on harvesting. The meat's better for you, it's cleaner, it's all this. The physical aspect of going out in the bush and hunting is good for your body and everything, but it's also really good for your mental health. Like, to me, being out in the bush, that's my happy place.
If we don't take care of our land, there's going to be nothing for our grandchildren or our great-grandchildren. And it's just that it's something that you have to go out and you want to be one-on-one with Mother Nature. And I know it's just a real feeling that it's really hard to explain.
My hopes for future generations are that they continue to stay connected to the land. I'd like to see us have gathering places on the land that we can use for our communities, for social gatherings, but for teaching, for healing, for all of the things that the land brings to us.
Elders are still here to provide guidance. We don't know that that's going to happen in the future because there's a big chunk of population that really did not grow up Métis that follow behind us as elders. And so what we have to do is convince them that they have to open their eyes.
I do feel like Métis are being robbed of the vitality that they could have if they were able to live their traditional lifestyles.
And I just get people to go out and and to show, not just talk about it, but to actually get out and take the children out on the land and show them what the different berries that they can go and harvest and the mushrooms, and just to be one-on-one with Mother Nature.
That it's still there to be used, and that we have left enough behind for the future generations. We're just borrowing this. It's not ours. It's there for all of us to use. And if it wasn't there, life would not be very much fun at all.